Jim, both of our firms, Norton Rose, Fulbright and Control Risks, help our clients make cross-border acquisitions and investments. We both come at the due diligence issue from different angles. We have our checklist for what our clients need to look at. Data, where does that sit in the hierarchy of needs in terms of due diligence?
Well, let me ask, it should sit right at the very top. The reality is most companies and organizations are very comfortable entering new markets or new business relationships or standing up new legal entities or acquisitions, whatever the case might be. But they tend to focus on the due diligence as it surrounds operational due diligence or financial due diligence, the legal and regulatory framework, and the due diligence necessary around those things. Answering the questions on the political and security environment, who our agents and partners should be, but rarely does it touch the data piece as a specific element. Now, if we realize that 99% of everything created is electronic now, everything sits within the electronic realm. So the real question is how do we use that data in the due diligence process as a tool to answer all the other questions that we need? And that becomes a very powerful part of the due diligence process. So I think the answer is not very much today. It should be escalated and be the key element of the due diligence process from which all other answers fall out. Say some of the contextual things around legal and the things that actually are very relevant to that particular jurisdiction.
And just to build on that point, many of the companies we're dealing with have really focused energy on creating a good record retention framework and a good information governance structure. But when they go out and acquire a new company and want to integrate that culture into their own, that's not a high priority. And this leaves them vulnerable in sort of several different respects. All the things they have done to allow for the proper compliance with data protection regulations aren't with this new entity, and now they're part of the corporate family, and they're now out of compliance. Moreover, the in-house counsel, the in-house compliance team is used to operating in a specific way because they've dotted those I's, they've crossed those T's, they have the intercompany agreements in place to move the data when they need to, or maybe they've gone even to the next level and done binding corporate rules, but the new entity isn't in part of that because you have not made the right disclosures now in that new jurisdiction. Also, you have a culture around data governance. If you have invested in this, the whole point will be to have your decentralized employees, who are really the holders of the data, to have good data practices. But this new company may not. One of the things we see often is, and this is a major factor in investigations, is the reality is we are blurring the line between business and personal. A lot of devices are multi-use. People are doing more work, they're more mobile. They are flying all over the world. They're dealing data from home. They have to be on call 24/7. You may have, historically, as the parent company, put good controls of that. Good security controls, good networking controls. You can track your data. But now does the new entity have any of those things in place? Is all of the useful information that you've now purchased, right? This is a major asset. Is it resident on inside the firewall, or is it on the CEO's tablet or smartphone? And will that walk away when things go south with them? Or if you need to do the investigation, now getting access to that, and the laws around that mixed use are very complicated worldwide, right? If you have a BYOD device and you need to look at the text messages, because most people are committing, look, the rogue actor is smart now that realizes that maybe email's being monitored, but they're not monitoring my text messages. Well, now can I go, is the policy in place for me to say, if you work on one of our devices and do text messaging, we're allowed to look at that. We get possession of the device. That's just emerging even the most sophisticated companies, and we find it to be absent when people acquire new companies. It takes years for that tail to run off, and they never do the integration completely. And then they're left holding the bag when the investigation comes.